On the phone right now, the frontman of the Killers, Mr. Brandon Flowers. Hi, Brandon.
Hello.
You're not calling to talk about fashion. You're not calling to talk about politics, though we might discuss any of those subjects during this interview. We're talking about music because we're getting new Killers music very, very soon, and we're super, super excited. Are you excited? Do you get excited every time, even though you've done this several times?
Yeah. No, I mean it's. I think it may be even worse than as you get older, because when you're young, it's just you're kind of fearless.
Right.
And not that I feel like an elderly person, but we've done it. This is our fifth record.
Yeah.
And it's been finished for a long time now, so I'm a little anxious. I'm ready for people to hear it. Yeah.
You're itching to get that out. So let me ask you about this. Speaking of the breaks, it's going to be almost 5 years to the date since we've gotten a new record from you guys. Yeah. Does the timing of those things happen? Are those scheduled? Do you go out after the last album cycle and go, okay, we're going to tour, and then we're going to take this amount of time off, and then we're going to go back in the studio? Do you have all that planned out, or is it kind of like a combination between that and just whenever the ideas flare back up? How does that work?
Yeah, it's more like that. It's more. We didn't know that it was going to be such a big break.
Yeah.
We didn't know if we were ever going to make a record again. We didn't know what was going to happen. It seems like when we finish an album and you finish touring it, you're around each other for off and on for 2 years. And You're just around each other a lot.
Yep.
And it's tough to be that close, that close to each other. And so you seem, if you catch us right off the road, it sounds pretty, ominous usually.
Sure.
And,
being away from your family too. I mean, I think that.
Yeah.
I
so
would
we
think
gotta
that
get
would
reacquainted with our wives, and dads, and things like that.
Yeah.
And so that we need time for that. And then we got two guys in the band that want even more time.
Right.
So that's why I make solo records.
Right.
So I've made 2 solo records, and in a perfect world for me, we would be releasing our 8th Killers record instead of our 5th. But I'm just kind of maneuvering and navigating the waters.
Well, and that's what happens when you're in a group and everybody's got their vote.
Yeah.
You kind of have to figure out what works for everybody moving forward, and that's why it's good. Yeah, you've got your own outlet, and you can do your own thing, which is awesome. Yeah. So, do you ever write songs for the Killers that you end up doing as solo songs, or vice versa, stuff that you think might go in a solo project and then rework it as a Killers song?
There's been a couple instances where I'd actually tried a song and didn't capture it with my solo band.
Yeah.
And a song like "Runaways," I think that was on our last record.
Yeah.
We didn't quite get the right energy or the right momentum when we did it, and the Killers just did it better. And then I'm sure there are songs on my last solo record that I don't think that would fit with the Killers. So it just kind of goes both ways.
Well, so with this new record, we've heard the one song, "The Man," which is absolutely fantastic, and like sonically, not just refreshing and lovely, and not at all what I think that I was expecting anyway. Compare that sonically to the rest of "Wonderful, Wonderful."
It's total. There's nothing like it.
Nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So if you're pumped about that, it's good. I think we're a weird band. We have never committed to one path,
right.
And there's just been so much great music, and we've seeped it all in since you're a little kid. You've been hearing, classic rock and pop music, and then you get obsessed when you're a teenager about what you get obsessed with, and then everything in between is happening. So it's tough for us, I think, to just pick one road. And this album's pretty cohesive, and The Man is probably the most different. It's probably we deviate the most on that song, but I also there are influences in it that I'm happy have finally kind of reared their head. And if you listen to our player and the drummer on that song, I mean, that stuff I think they're really good at that.
Yeah,
that kind of music.
It seems very natural for you guys to go right into that.
Yeah, so it's we grew up with Talking Heads and David Bowie and all that stuff too. So it was nice to have those influences kind of rear their heads.
And it looks like you work with a lot of different people on this record. Is that also by design? Is it take this track to this one particular person or this one to help you kind of like finish it or bring it around? It's always nice to get fresh ears on a song that you probably have written and it sounds like the way you want it to sound in your mind, then get somebody else to listen to it and kind of turn it into what it ends up being. Is that by design as well?
Yeah, I think it's just as it comes with age. I'm more willing and more in awe, I guess, of other people's talents and willing to have them chip in.
Yeah.
But the way that we reel it back in is we just kept one producer on the whole record. Jackknife Lee is the produced every song, and that way, he helped us, sort of keep the ship on the right track, and that it worked out well for us.
I've read some of your interviews about the song "The Man." Obviously, we'll go back to that since that's the only song we have from the record so far, and how you kind of made it sound like you were referring to yourself in some regards, and perhaps a past version of yourself. Are any of the other songs on this new album kind of personal in that nature?
Yeah, I mean, as a whole, the whole record is much more personal than any other Killers record.
Okay.
And I've always been pretty guarded because it's a band. And I think making the solo records, I felt some walls went down, and I was able to go into some more personal territory, and then I just finally gave myself permission to do that with the Killers. And I don't know, I think it works out.
Well, we're really, really excited about the new album, both the content and the sound and all of the stuff in between, and the tour, which will be by in Atlanta not till January, so we got a little ways to go on that. But one more quick question: have you picked any openers for your tour yet? Are you still kind of bumping around?
We've still got our ear to the ground, but we've got a couple people in mind. I mean, there's a guy that I love from Australia named Alex Cameron.
Okay.
I think
heard of him.
He's going to have a new record out called Forced Witness in September, and his first record's called Jumping the Shark. Everybody should go check that out.
Okay. I certainly will. I'm making a note of that right now. And when you go to, like, Lala was it last weekend or the weekend before? Which just recently, right?
Two weekends.
Do you ever get to, I mean, that's a massive festival. Do you ever get to pop out, even if it's from backstage, and listen to any of the other bands who are, I mean, most of the ones who would be playing near your time slot are bands you've heard of anyway, but, kind of maybe some of the earlier talent that you may not have been able to experience otherwise?
Yeah, sometimes if you hear about a band and you want to go check it out, that's one great thing about festivals. Also, I remember the first time I heard Arcade Fire live was at Lollapalooza in probably 2005, and we just happened to be playing back-to-back with them.
Yeah.
And so those are kind of things that I remember coming up at festivals, or going to see a band that you've always wanted to see while you're getting, waiting for your slot or whatever, so it's fun.
All right, we can't wait to see you in January, and can't wait for your fifth album, Wonderful, Wonderful, out September the 22nd. Brandon Flowers from the Killers. I know you have a exhaustive rest of your day talking to other people, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thanks again for taking the time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.